I definitely don't have the best reputation when it comes to building car-free or walkable cities. My cities always seem to feature some sort of massive highway. They're car-centric, clogged with traffic, busy, pedestrian pathways and bike paths, always a little bit of a second thought. So when the Plazas and Promenades DLC was announced, I figured that this would be a good opportunity to get a little bit better at this sort of stuff. We're going to start with the city of Shirley. Massive, overpopulated big city surrounded by other little towns and cities that are connected with highways and bad public transport. These poor guys need more than just highways and roads to get around. So we're going to make some improvements, make this place a bit walkable, make this place a lot nicer, and hopefully make some improvements to the public transport network. So this will in fact be my first look at the new DLC. This is going to be my first impressions. I haven't seen any of these new features yet besides watching some of the videos on the City Skylines channel. But besides that, that's about it. So let's have a little look at what we've got. Going down to the Parks and Plazas tab, we have two new tabs up here, pedestrian areas, and we've also got pedestrian area plazas. And I mean, this is where we've got all the roads, all our little streets that people can walk on. Don't get hassled by any of the vehicles. We've got some nice wide ones with some trees in the middle, and we've got some nice wider ones with grass on the side, and a whole bunch of different bus roads as well, which I think are going to be super useful. And then the pedestrian area plazas look super cool. We've got some pretty basic ones. We've got some ones with some big old shady things over the top of them. We've got bigger shady things over the top, and some pretty ones. So they're going to be really useful too, as well as a bunch of different props and decals and stuff, so that's gonna be great. And then heaps of useful roads, like these ones are gonna be really useful. 2-lane road with a grass median in the middle, and then these, let's just have a little place down on this one. Yeah, I mean these ones, we've needed this for a long time. And then some of these larger roads too, more bus stuff. I'm pretty sure we've got a whole bunch of different bus networks. Yeah, look at that. They're going to be really fun to play with. We've got some ideas for that. Alright, so I reckon we start with something super simple. I reckon we just go for a pedestrian street, a pedestrian area, and I reckon we stay out of Shirley while we just get some skills, and then we get back there and do something epic. I reckon we do our first one. Geez, a couple of places to choose from. I reckon we go for one of the beachside towns / cities. I mean, this one down here, I mean, needs some love. It is, geez, it's not good looking. Since we've got a main road here and a main road there and a main road down this way, I reckon we take one of these streets and we turn it into a pedestrian mall. So let's go Parks and Plazas, and I reckon we just go simple. We just go maybe one of, let's try that one. And then we upgrade, and these guys start complaining. So they need a pedestrian area. Okay, let's give them a pedestrian area. Okay, now they're complaining again. Double complaints. Let's see, cargo deliveries cannot be taken care of because the pedestrian area does not have a cargo service point. Ah, okay, I know what that is. So pretty much the only vehicles allowed on these pedestrian paths are police vehicles and fire engines, but besides that, I don't think any of these can drive on there, which is great because I don't want them driving on there. So we actually have to place down one of these cargo service points, and then that way trucks can make deliveries to these businesses, and that way they don't actually have to drive on this pedestrian path. So we just need to give it access to a road. I could do it on one of those ones. I reckon we keep it on, well, I don't really want to go down there because I want that to be a bit nicer. So maybe we do go up here. Let's take that one. Okay, so that's gotten rid of that problem, and then I believe the next one is garbage. I'm just going for the small ones at first because we don't really, I mean, it's not that big, so we don't really need anything too large. And can I drag it? Okay, cool. So I've basically chosen that spot because I'm running out of space on this block. And all these guys are starting to level up. I guess this is adding a lot of land value to this area, which is great. But I would like, I mean, this looks still pretty ugly, and I want this area to look a whole lot nicer. So I'm going to select that, and I'm going to press that, and then these guys are going to disappear, and then they should respawn into something a little prettier. There we go. I can do double for the offices around here as well. Wait, let's do the same for the houses. Yeah, that looks pretty cool. So I actually kind of like that these are all the same. I know they're all the same type of building, but I kind of like that. It makes this really nice wall, so I'm actually going to make them all historical. And I'll keep them looking like that because I think that kind of makes a nice little plaza. And these are also pretty nice looking buildings. I'm going to leave them growing just for now and see what they end up upgrading to. But there are a couple of things that I do want to change. I want to get rid of these trees. These are kind of outdated vanilla trees, and we've actually got much nicer trees just by selecting those ones like that. They actually might be a little big. That's a little small. That really doesn't work. Well, that's kind of nice. In fact, let's change all those roads to have the same type of trees. But I did say I want this place to be kind of a bit of a touristic area, so I think that these palm trees kind of match that. And you know, while we're changing roads, let's continue that. I'm going to grab some of these new ones, and I'm going to make that one. That fits in really well. Here we go. These guys are already upgraded to the highest level, which is excellent. So obviously I'm doing something right down here, and it's starting to look a whole lot nicer. So I'm going to continue adding in these trees because I think that's adding a lot of... I might need to add some power. There we go. Good. There we go. Fix yourself. Yeah, this pedestrian path is super pretty. I know it's pretty simple, and it's, you know, obviously we're a bit of a work in progress, but I am really loving that, you know, with a big mountain in the background with the trees and the palm trees. I think it's looking pretty nice. But there's still some things I need to do, need to upgrade, need to change. So I'm going to continue adding in some details, and hopefully this place is going to continue to look better because, I mean, it's on the way, but it's still looking a little bit average. So I've moved our school over here, given us a little bit of extra space to play with, and then I've just done a little bit of detail around some of the services. So because this is a bit of an industrial zone, I figured we should add in a bit of gravel. So just got some gravel paths, just using Move It just to copy and paste it into different areas, which works so well, and it's super easy to just add those simple bits of detail. I've zoned this for high density residential, but that's nothing growing at the moment because we've got no demand. A little pool as well with trash piling up, and then this car park here as well. So this is not part of the DLC. I've grabbed these assets from the Steam Workshop, but I think they work really well for this area, except the fact that there is a bus stop where the entrance is. Just ignore that, we'll change that. But I think it's definitely important to have some parking in this area, seeing as people are getting out of the cars and exploring and walking around. I think we do need it. So that's what that's there for, and I've used that space because it's a bit of an awkward, you know, got this bend, so we can't exactly zone anything comfortably on this area. And then behind these shops, because it's a bit of an awkward space, I have just put some shrubs down here, and again, some of those gravel paths, which, you know, simple, but adds a lot. And besides that, I'm sort of thinking, because we've sort of detailed that back lot, I want to do something back here as well, but I've got something a little bit different in mind. So what I'm going to do is I think we need some sort of alley, but instead of using a road. So I'm actually going to get one of these park pathways, and then I'm going to drag it as if it is a little alleyway behind these shops. I'm probably going to demolish some stuff, unfortunately, but we'll just see how we go. And then this one's sort of between two segments of zoning. So if I push that nice and close, and that's kept that, unfortunately we've lost that one. And then I might even just grab those nodes using Move It and get it super close. Oh, would you look at that? We've got our zoning back. Fantastic. So we still have a bit of space behind here, but that's okay because I'm going to drag another pedestrian path like that. Finding the nodes. I'm just going to cover it up with a bit of concrete. But yeah, we kind of got this awkward space, but I think we can place down some props and maybe even just hide a little bit of that ugliness. In fact, I might even grab some more of this path network. So I'm just going to add in a couple of these and add in a bit of a custom, yeah, look at them. Yeah, a bit of a custom coffee shop. No, I'm not. That had just turned into a bit of a plaza, which I'm totally okay about because I think it actually works a little bit better. They kind of give off a bit more office vibes. rather than being a coffee shop. But what I am doing now is I'm adding in some bushes just to hide some of these grassed areas, you know, because I'd imagine to see more plants back here rather than, you know, just random grassy spots. Let's see, I might grab one of them and we'll plop him in there, and you can go back there. That actually turned out far better than I imagined. It's kind of cool back here. But I've actually got something else up my sleeve. So, I like how this is really taken off and it's got its own shape and it looks really different to anything else around this area. I mean, this whole area needs a bit of work. But this area is looking nice and detailed and kind of interesting. But this part down here, I think we can do something completely different. So, at the moment, I believe it's all the same zone, all the same district. Yeah, it is. So, I'm actually going to get rid of that one. And I'm going to make this its own district. And this can be all the same. And I did say I want this to be a bit more of a touristic district. So I'm going to change this to tourism. And let's just see how the buildings end up looking. Okay, I've ended up going with leisure, and I think that makes a bigger improvement. I actually think this is starting to look really cool down here. Definitely becoming a bit of a touristic district. We've got heaps of trees now, and it's starting to look really pretty. There's one more thing I want to do before I move back into Shirley, and we work on something massive. So the public transport down here is lousy as. We've got buses and people are just piling up. So I think I need to move that to a much better location. When I say that, I mean our ferry service. And I'm going to drag that into the water and relocate this to, and I mean, that's not perfect and now it's flooding, but it's something. I reckon we need to do something along this coastline. I'm encouraging houses to grow along here as well, which I think is going to make for a really cool area, be nice and interesting. Maybe we continue houses, but basically my question to you guys is, what's next for this place? Do we continue this whole touristic district thing going on along this whole shoreline? What do we call this town, this city? Will it become a city? I don't know. The rest of it's up to you. I'm going to leave it in your hands. So do let me know in the comments section below. All right, so let's get into business. Down here in the heart and center of Shirley, I want to make some really big changes. There is a giant parkland that goes around this coastline here. I like this. I think this looks quite nice, but I do think we can make some big improvements to the way it looks because I built this very quickly. We've also got the central station here, and there is nothing in terms of detail. It looks ugly as. I think a plaza on one of these blocks would look super nice, and I am still trying to figure out whereabouts I'm going to place it. One idea that I do have is, because we've got this elevated metro line that we haven't dragged out yet, but we definitely need, I think that this could add for a really good opportunity to have some sort of plaza below it. So obviously the metro line is going to go through here. Oh no. Oh no, not Shirley's house. Okay, so we need to keep that. That's historical Shirley house. The whole reason why we made this place named Shirley. She found it. That's her house. We can't demolish that. So we might have to integrate Shirley's house somehow into some sort of plaza. We'll figure that out. But yeah, if this is going to be stretched off across this way, and we'll have to try and be careful of Shirley's house, then maybe a plaza somewhere down here as well. So yeah, we've got a couple of opportunities to make those things, and I also would like some sort of pedestrian pathway too, some sort of pedestrian mall, which I think would be quite nice. So that's kind of the idea. Our first job is to remove the buildings from these blocks, as these are now going to become plazas and parkland and space for us to place down pieces of the new DLC. And I'm also leaving a little bit of space for where I want the metro to be dragged out. And then I also wanted to remove the mall that we have sitting right next to the station, because it's a little bit of an ugly building, and I wanted something a little bit nicer. So instead, I'm placing down this theater that's going to be sitting pretty much in the parkland, and it's this nice shape that fits in well with the landscape around it. And then outside the station, I figured we needed some sort of shopping mall, some sort of plaza, and this building here, which is exactly that, a mall and a plaza, and you can see right down the middle of it, and it looks super nice. So I've dragged it a little bit closer to the block because it was a little bit big, And then there is a little bit of space for where I wanted the pedestrian path to be. And it is part of the plaza, but I have in fact just dragged in a pedestrian network so that it still works as part of the mall that we've got in here. And basically I'm going to convert this whole street into a mall that's going to be only accessible for people walking around, and of course service vehicles to make their deliveries. I'm actually using the small delivery building or service building or whatever it's called. I actually don't really know the name of it, but I'm placing that down, and it works pretty well because it's actually, there's not a huge amount of services needed for this area, so I'm able just to place it down in that little block, which is to the side of this whole pedestrian mall. And I wanted this whole strip here to have that style of the wall-to-wall district style. And I didn't want the rest of the city to look like that. At least I didn't want the downtown to look like that, because I kind of like the buildings the way they are. So I've just made this one space and just trying to include any buildings that are around here to be that wall-to-wall. And it looks super nice because they all have that architectural style, but then the rest of the city in this area doesn't. So just trying to be a bit strategic with what sort of architecture is being used in different parts of the city. And then for the actual pedestrian path, I just sort of kept it pretty simple, you know? Just wanted to place down some pathways in different areas. So using paths just to create a bit of a concrete effect in some areas. And then also making some places for cafes and restaurants and places for people to sit and just chill and hang out. This is the sort of spots, because it is in the downtown of the city, you'd imagine that a lot of people who work in the offices would actually come down to these areas to grab lunch or just to, you know, get a bit of fresh air. But then also with the malls around and the shopping districts around this area. So it's, you know, got quite a lot of different uses. And then this little spot here, you know, I wanted it to also be a pedestrian pathway, but I figured that because we're going to be getting into some of the different bus networks, I think it's appropriate to place down a bus network and also trying out the compact bus station, which doesn't actually stay there. I end up moving it because it's, I don't know, I feel like it doesn't really make a lot of sense. It's going to be a lot of traffic if there's going to be a lot of buses actually using that area, so might not be the best place for it. But I am thinking about the bus network and thinking about how that's going to look, and also thinking about the traffic in these areas. So I'm actually getting rid of that bridge connection because I think the less intersections on these main roads, the better. So just go to that so that the bridge is now extended out over the top of this bus network instead. But I do want to work on the bus network at some stage. You know, I would like to dive back into Shirley, work on some things every now and again. I know I said this wasn't going to be a series, but as the new DLC has just been released, I want to spend a bit of time working with it in vanilla because, well, first of all, I've got to wait for some of the mods to get updated. And I just think it's fun to see what you can do with what the game gives you, and then see what you can do with the mods and assets that you can grab from the Steam Workshop. And speaking of which, I'm not using no controller, so working with this metro network is kind of tricky when I'm trying to make something that looks somewhat realistic and nice going into the station, but unfortunately wasn't really able to achieve what I wanted to, trying really hard to. So I give up and just start moving around some of the other networks, thinking about where that metro line's going to sit. But that is a topic for another video. Let's dive back into the downtown and see how everything's starting to look. Things are looking so pretty down here. We've got some lovely little pedestrian pathways. This has become a bit of a shopping district with people walking around, going to different plazas and going to different shopping centers. We've got a big mall just in this area, which I think fits in really well next to this pedestrian pathway. And we've got this little strip too, which I've made all historical because I actually quite like the way they look. Particularly this little mural on the side is super nice. And a little cafe and a couple of other little pathways. I have left this space open because I actually think we need to add in something there because it's not looking very nice. So I'm actually going to grab trees and props with Move It, and I'm going to select those guys. And then I think I'm going to place them right next to that building. Actually, this is what's missing. We need some little benches, of course. You know, you can actually splice these together to make some interesting shapes. That's kind of cool. And in terms of this, you know, this compact bus station, I feel like I can place that in a better spot. But just how cool is this plaza? I mean, it's like 3 layers deep. It's super cool. I wish I could see people actually walking through this area instead of doing that. So this whole area, I mean, it's got like a real, you know, real architectural style, and I kind of like that it all sort of fits in with the same thing. But we know what we need to do. We need to work on this spot here. We need to delete that guy, get out of there, and maybe just disable the fact that I can do that. That's a bit better. So we need to work on just a bit of a plaza, or maybe even a garden, or I don't really know. Let's have a look what we got. So we do have a couple of different plazas we can choose. We can place down into this area. These, you know, a few of them just connect straight to the road, just as the usual ones do. Thinking about where Shirley's house is as well, might be nice to have something right opposite her house. But we also have some of these ones that, look how massive this is. It's kind of cool, but it's just this big old shelter that goes to the top. In fact, hold on a tick. How similar is that to the station there? Ooh, I feel like there's something in that. Let's just have a little bit of a play. All right, I'm just having a little go. No one freak out. And how's the clipping? Okay, there's still clearance for the metro. There's clearance for the metro there. Okay, let's just keep on going with this. Use and move it. Same height. Let's get them to be the exact same spots. I mean, it's kind of crazy, but I also kind of like it. It's kind of interesting, you know, just this like big grand entrance for this metro line. They're both evened up. The metro line goes directly through the middle of it, like that. I mean, that's pretty interesting. What's going on? Hey, get out of there. It's pretty futuristic, pretty interesting. There's clearance. The metro can get through. I'm gonna leave it like that. I kind of like it. We do need to get rid of that though, and we'll get rid of these guys. And you know what? That actually might be a better place for a bus station. It's going to hit that ramp, so I will get rid of that ramp. And I like that because now we've got this whole area down here, and it's kind of gives good access to the metro station, gives access to the train station and this bus terminal as well, this bus station. I was trying to find a different word, but ended up going with station. So with that, let's change this road potentially to not an expressway, but maybe just a bus only way. One way, probably that. There we go. So quite a lot there, and I can actually even drag that one to be here too. And that might be all of my lines. And then, look, I think I'm going to get rid of our compact one because we probably don't really need it. But that's actually working really well. There we go, lovely flower bed out the front of Shirley's place. I think that's pretty nice. I mean, keeping this pretty much a park because I sort of feel like we've got a lot now of pedestrian pathways and malls and stuff like that. Felt like we probably needed a little bit of extra open space. So we just got a little bike path underneath, and then also just using my gravel technique underneath this metro line and some lantana growing through, which actually looks pretty cool. And I think that's probably about it for this area. I mean, it's pretty much done in terms of detail, and you know, there's obviously other little bits and pieces I need to work on. Public transport's next. I mean, I don't know how well we actually connected people up in this episode, so we might actually have to do that in the next one. But just to show you, I've also placed down one of these buildings. This is a landmark, residential zone landmark. I don't really know what that means, but it's there, and it's pretty nice looking. And it just, I mean, the metro just goes by it, which is kind of cool. I almost placed down, I'm going to show you what I almost placed down. This one. I mean, that's pretty cool. I mean, that would have been pretty cool if it just kind of like, again, let's just match it up. Yeah, just goes in between those two buildings. But I actually think I might say that for somewhere else. doing something kind of similar. So this pedestrian mall and the bike path and the other bits and pieces we've been placing down have definitely encouraged more walking within the city, but I think there's a couple of quick things I can do just to make a little bit of a better change for an area like this. Because at the moment we've still got a lot of people just crossing the road here, and I reckon we could probably get rid of pedestrians crossing the road, and hopefully it should be a quick, easy fix. Let's just see how we go. I'm going to create an overpass for them, a path. What's it called again? Why can't I think of the word? Pedestrian path, that's the one I'm looking for. Let's see, I'm just trying to do some interesting things here. I don't know if that's working. Basically, I'm just trying to make it so that we've got access for people to still walk along the sidewalk here, but also access this pathway going up. So there's some people going up. That's fine, but then people can't actually walk through there. I mean, they can, but, you know, let's imagine that they can't. Okay, so what about if we demolish that? And then we can grab these guys. All right, I think I'm onto something. All right, that's a little bit wild, but just, I don't know, a little bit of fun. Basically, it's encouraging people to make their way over this way. What I like about it is that there is this little gap between here so that people can actually access directly to our pedestrian pathway, our mall, and buildings have grown here. So they've actually just taken that space back. But what I'm going to do is actually going to get rid of that one. I'm going to make it so he doesn't grow again. And it just, that way people can actually walk their way through there. It's kind of a little bit interesting. I don't know how much it's helped, but I kind of like its shape. It's a bit awkward. Actually, you know what I will do? What if we make a tunnel and it went under the road, and let's imagine it connected there. And we've actually got a little bit of gap here. So why don't we go here and then back up. If this was real life, then there'd actually be a connection to that mall, right? So why don't we just pretend that there is a connection to that mall? And in this building here, let's just raise it up and we can have that opening right there. And so that's actually going inside that building, but I'm imagining that it goes through the mall and people are actually going to use that underground connection, hopefully. Let's just see if it works. Woohoo! Look at this place. It is absolutely packed. So it's great to see people using this overpass here, this pedestrian walkway. People are still using vehicles, but I'm pretty sure that most of these people are just trying to get back home. Yeah, I mean, just around the city, basically. You know, it's a big place, and there's no other way around it. I mean, if people live out here, then the only train line goes to this spot. So they're gonna have to literally drive their way back because I don't really have a bus network. Well, I do, but it kind of sucks. But it's great to see people using this. Do need to work on my public transport a little bit, and people are actually using our underpass here, which is awesome. If I go to this underground view, you can actually see people walking underneath, which is great. Not a huge amount of people, but that's fine. I think it's mostly because there's just like not a huge amount of people probably wanted to go from this area to this area over here. But I think that's probably a good amount of connection, you know, connecting up to this building, getting people across the road, and then even people to the bus network, the bus station, which at the moment is not massively significant, so that needs to be improved. But I think an improvement to the public transport network is definitely something that we need to work on in the next episode. Yep, that's right, we'll do another episode of this. I'm actually really enjoying Shirley, and I like to dive into some vanilla stuff when there is a new DLC and just have a play of it, see what we can do, and then we can have a go at putting it into Oceania and, what's the other one, Sunset City, and see what we can do. Plus, gotta wait for some mods to be updated and all that good stuff. But for now, let's just keep on working on Shirley and make some big improvements. I think we're gonna start with the metro line, which I'm actually kind of keen for. But I hope you've enjoyed it. Hope you're enjoying Shirley, and I would love to know if you guys are keen to get the new expansion pack. Are there some features that you've been looking forward to? Is this going to be useful? Is it something that you're going to skip, or is it something that you have been wanting for a while? Let me know in the comments. This is a bit of a surprise to me. I probably didn't think I was going to enjoy it as much as I have, but I'm really enjoying it, and kind of keen to see what else we can get up to. Big shout out to my patrons who are making videos like this possible. KC27, Marker, Alec Williams, Holly Softy, Brandon Nash, Mikey McFarlane, Stephen Hayner, Bogdatari, Robert Maynard, and Kira Floke. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next one.